Welcome to the Explainer. All right, let's just jump right in because today we are unpacking a massive paradigm shift in how revenue managers and hotel operators actually need to look at their calendars. Seriously, if you've ever stared at a screen just packed with booking data and felt like you're literally drowning in numbers but totally starved for actual direction, well, you're in the right place. We're going to break down the RevenueMind framework, specifically its core hook and foundational idea. We're leaving the era of passive dashboards behind, and we are stepping right into the future of active decision systems.
Let's start with a foundational truth, okay? Every future date in your hotel is a different business problem. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. The absolute biggest mistake in traditional hotel revenue management, it's treating the calendar like a monolith. We look at a month or a week and we try to just slap a blanket strategy over the whole thing. But think about it. An 80% occupancy date for tomorrow requires a wildly different strategy than an 80% occupancy date 5 months from now. It's the exact same occupancy, but it has a completely different meaning. Treating all these dates exactly the same is frankly exactly how hotels lose money.
So let's break that reality down into a few concrete scenarios. For instance, you have dates that are already full. Your job there isn't really to sell, it's to protect against cancellations, right? Then you've got dates that might look incredibly weak today, but the hidden data shows they are absolutely going to become high demand later on. If you panic and discount now, you've essentially just thrown away future profit. And what about dates that were huge last year, maybe because of a specific event or a massive group, but that demand is completely missing this year? If you just sit back, cross your fingers, and wait for last year to magically repeat itself, you are walking straight into a trap. This is exactly why treating your calendar as just identical blocks of time fundamentally fails. Section 1. The trap of the passive dashboard. Let's look at the very real problem of having data without direction. Okay, so here's the stark contrast. The old model gives you this overview section that shows your key performance indicators, and honestly, it's essentially a digital rearview mirror. It explains what your performance has been up to this point. But the new model, the RevenueMind paradigm, flips this entirely on its head. Instead of just displaying static numbers for you to try and interpret, it automatically categorizes every single date and actually dictates the required action. It shifts the heavy burden of analysis away from the human and onto the system, which frees you up to actually execute the strategy. The absolutely crucial point here is this. Knowing what happened doesn't help you. A dashboard that beautifully graphs your past performance or, tells you that you're currently behind budget, it's practically useless if it doesn't immediately tell you what your next move should be. It's just noise. You really don't need a history lesson when you're just trying to price inventory for next Tuesday. You need an action plan. Section 2, the core idea. This is where we get into the total mindset shift required to really master hotel revenue. What should I do with this date? This is the ultimate central question that RevenueMind is built to answer for every single square on your calendar. Not just, hey, what's my ADR or what's my RevPAR, but practically speaking, what should I do with this date right now? Just imagine if every time you looked at a date, you didn't have to guess. That is the exact problem this framework solves. So let's define it clearly. RevenueMind is not a dashboard, not at all. It is an action and decision system. It looks at the specific demand situation of a date, so combining occupancy on the books with lead time and market pacing, and then it guides the hotel toward the exact right action. It's an engine designed to create revenue rather than just passively report on it. Let's see how this actually builds logically, step by step. First, the system identifies the demand situation using your daily hotel data, things like on-the-books occupancy, your forecast, and last year's comparisons. Second, it takes that totally unique business problem and places it into a highly specific group. And third, based on that specific group, it guides you toward the right action. Is it time to push rate? Should you close wholesale? Maybe you need to check wash, meaning your expected cancellations. The system just tells you. Section 3, the math behind the action. Let's look under the hood at this automated framework. So, how does it categorize thousands of future dates so cleanly? Well, it all starts with the number 7. RevenueMind classifies every single future date into one of exactly 7 main demand groups. These range from maximum occupancy, where the hotel is already totally full and you just need to protect that result, to excess demand, to uncaptured potential, all the way down to low demand, where your focus has to shift to controlled stimulation. Every single date falls into one of these 7 buckets based entirely on its current reality. But, of course, it doesn't stop there. Within those 7 main groups, there are 4 pickup subgroups. Now, these subgroups are based on the last 7 days of pickup performance compared to the exact same time last year. Basically, are your room nights up or down? And is your average daily rate, your ADR, up or down?
And here is where the magic really happens. 7 main groups multiplied by 4 pickup subgroups equals 28 methods. This creates a highly precise, fully automated strategy map for the hotel. You aren't just saying, oh, this date is busy. No, you are saying this date is in excess demand, and specifically, room nights are up while ADR is down. Therefore, we need to correct rate dilution immediately. It is literal surgical precision.
Looking at room nights and ADR going up or down compared to last year in a simple matrix, it doesn't just tell you where a date is, it tells you exactly why it's there. For example, if room nights are up but ADR is down, you might actually be filling up way too early with low-value wholesale business. The date might look great on occupancy, but you're bleeding potential revenue. The matrix catches that instantly. It tells you to adjust your rate fences, the restrictions you put in place to protect your pricing, before it's completely too late. So to really summarize the incredible value of ditching the old model and upgrading to this new paradigm, this system turns hotel data into revenue action. It takes all that noise, the endless, confusing spreadsheets, those overwhelming passive dashboards, and distills it all down into a 28-method framework that tells your team exactly what they need to execute today to maximize revenue tomorrow. I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. Really look at your own processes. Are you just analyzing your calendar, explaining away past performance in your weekly meetings? Or do you have a system in place that is taking specific, targeted action on every single unique date? If you are still relying on passive dashboards, you are literally leaving money on the table. It's time to shift from analysis to action. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this completely changes how you view your hotel's calendar.